You know, this is a pretty rare thing. At least, that's kind of what I think about it. It's just, recently we've sort of seen this trend of executives and higher-ups in NHL team situations that decide to leave themselves, or, in this case, a mutual parting of the ways. It sounds really dramatic, but realistically, this... Oh boy, my phone is popping off with notifications here, but... realistically, this is sort of becoming more of a trend where you're seeing these decisions be made where it's not like, oh, straight up a person has gotten fired. Nah, it's a mutual parting. This is a mutual agreement. It's like a breakup. Oh no, it wasn't anyone's fault. We just agreed to end it. Let's talk about the Calgary Flames today because they announced earlier on Twitter that the Flames and Brad Treliving, their GM, have mutually agreed to part ways. Don Maloney has been promoted to President of Hockey Operations and will also hold the position of Interim GM in the process. Now, before we go out there and continue, what I wanted to do was look at one of the first replies, because Lucas Wilson went out here and said this: "I think I speak for all Flames fans when I say it's time to bring in a proven leader and brilliant hockey man, Jim Benning. He can get this Flames team across the finish line." And then the hashtag is Hire Benning. Man, I love this man. I love Jim Benning. I want to see Benning go over to Calgary, but all memes aside, let's talk about the news here at our fingertips. Let's go over onto the Flames website and read the press release that they put out here. Flames and Brad Treliving mutually part ways. The Calgary Flames announced today that the Flames and GM Brad Treliving have agreed to mutually part ways. Treliving, whose contract expires on June 30th, will not return as the Flames GM next season. Don Maloney has been promoted to President of Hockey Operations and will also hold the position of Interim GM. The process to secure the services of the next Flames GM will begin immediately. "It's a difficult day when you must part ways with a quality colleague and friend," said CSEC President and CEO John Bean. "We are grateful of Brad's contributions over the past 9 years and wish him every success in his future, both personally and professionally. But for our fans and our business, we need to move forward, and we are confident with Don's experience that we will help find the right GM to build on Brad's work and lead our team to the Stanley Cup." Maloney has just completed his 5th season as Senior Vice President of Hockey Operations with the Flames, having joined the club in 2016 as a pro scout. His impressive resume as an executive also includes 9 seasons as Executive Vice President, GM, and alternate governor of the Coyotes, and 10 seasons as a member of the Rangers front office, serving as the team's Vice President of Player Personnel and Assistant GM. That's a mouthful, isn't it? Maloney's first front office position in the NHL was assistant GM of the Islanders, following his retirement as a player with the club in 1991. He would later serve as the Islanders GM from 92 to 95. Maloney's playing days included 765 regular season games over 13 NHL seasons with the Rangers, Whalers, and Islanders. He was a highly touted prospect out of Kitchener. Okay, they're really going far back to give the Don Maloney scouting report here. He was a hockey player. He was pretty alright. He became an executive after in the 90s. Now he's in the head interim GM position for Calgary. But ultimately, when it comes to Brad Treliving deciding to leave, and I'm going to say deciding to leave because it's a mutual parting of the ways. He had a decision here as well. Either just stick it out, or maybe if he got dragged into it a little bit longer, he might have gotten fired himself, but he decides to take the leave as well. Ultimately, this is a solution that I don't really think many Flames fans are going to mutually agree was the most necessary solution possible. You could say that this season in and of itself was a failure, and that's what I'm going to go out there and call this season for Calgary, but to blame it on the GM for building a team that honestly looked a lot better on paper than it was last year, I don't really think it's the guy's fault. Now, I'm personally of the mindset that the coaching staff probably deserve more of the blame for what happened this season rather than the guy who assembled the team, because really, I mean, look at the value they got for Tkachuk. Mackenzie Weegar, you've got Jonathan Huberdeau in the same trade. I feel like for Brad Treliving and what he did to acquire these players and go through the hand that he was dealt, Johnny Gaudreau not wanting to stay, Mateychuk not wanting to stay, getting Stetcher, getting to Foley, doing all this stuff over the past year and a bit. I feel like with Brad Treliving just assembling this team, he did a really good job. It's just the on-ice product of what you got out of these players was not up to snuff. So maybe there's going to be some sort of coaching staff change as well. Maybe somebody else comes in here and replaces Sutter. Who really knows? But one thing's for sure, when it comes to Brad Treliving, this tweet by James Johnson kind of goes out there and describes it pretty well. Eric Francis on the Jeff Merrick Show says, there are going to be people in management, players, staff, etc., who leave this organization because Brad is leaving. And with that sentiment being the case, it's very apparent to me that Brad Treliving was not the problem here. But either way, thoughts of the conversation below about Brad Treliving and the Flames mutually agreeing to part ways. It's a mutual breakup. No one party's fault here. It's both of them deciding they need to change the scenery and they need to see other people. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed this video. And bye.